and for today's video I am finally doing the highly requested Salem witch trials. I decided to save this specific video for closer to Halloween for a number of reasons, but mostly because there are so many details about the Salem witch trials. There are so many details about witches in general, and I am so excited to bring them to you guys just a few days before Halloween. So without further ado, let's just dive right on into it, because like I said, there is a lot to talk about, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. So the history of witches, witchcraft, and even just psychic individuals is an incredibly dark one. The idea of both witches and witchcraft were not thought of the way that they are today throughout history. In fact, there was a time where showing even the slightest symptom of being a witch, you would be prosecuted. And it would be enough to have you killed without any real concrete evidence. From 1692 to 1693 in Salem, Massachusetts, that is exactly what happened. Back in the 17th century, actually, witches were accused of having sold their souls to the devil in order for assistance. So that was how they were thought of to have gotten their gift. It's thought that they actually employed demons to accomplish magical deeds. It was thought that they were able to change from human to animal form, and that they had animals act as their familiar spirits. It was also thought that they would ride through the air to secret meetings and orgies as well. Basically though, to sum up the idea of accusations of witchcraft and witches, if I myself was raised in this time period in Salem, Massachusetts, I most definitely would have been prosecuted for witchcraft, solely for the fact that all throughout my growing up I could see ghosts, which is a sign and symptom of witchcraft. So the witch trials began in 1692 in the village of Salem, Massachusetts, after a 9-year-old girl, Elizabeth Betty Paris, and an 11-year-old girl, Abigail Williams. Both girls were actually the daughter and the niece of Samuel Paris, who was the minister of Salem Village. These two girls had gotten incredibly sick and began having fits, uncontrollable convulsions, violent contortions, outbursts of screaming, really high fevers, and this just kind of like came out of what felt like nowhere to them. They had the local doctor, William Griggs, come to see what was wrong, and what he diagnosed these two young girls with was bewitchment, which is actually a real diagnosis back then. You could be diagnosed with bewitchment, meaning that somebody has put some sort of black magic on you. Back then though, like, things were definitely not at all how they are now, and there were a lot of different injustices occurring, unfortunately, and what happens next is a true testament to that. After this, several local girls actually claimed to be possessed by the devil and that somebody had put magic on them, and they accused several local women of witchcraft. In late February, arrest warrants were actually issued for the Paris' Caribbean slave Tituba, along with two other women, one of which was a homeless beggar named Sarah Good, and a poor woman, Sarah Osborne, were also accused of bewitching these young girls. As a wave of hysteria kind of spread throughout colonial Massachusetts, a special court convened in Salem to hear the cases of these several accused witches. The very first ever convicted witch, Bridget Bishop, was hanged that June on what would become known as Gallows Hill in Salem. Now I should note, because I found this interesting when I was kind of doing research into this, I've always believed that you would say was hung, but apparently when it's in this specific context, it is was hanged. So I just want to put that note out there before you guys are like, it's hung, Hailey. No, they say that it's hanged. In August, 5 more witches would be hanged. In September, 8 more witches would be hanged, and 7 accused witches would die within prison awaiting their witch trial. The elderly Giles Corey was actually pressed to death by stones after he refused to enter a plea at his arraignment, which is so sad and so horrible to picture somebody dying in such a hateful and terrifying manner, to be crushed to death. It's just so sad. 18 others followed Bishop to Gallows Hill, while some like 150 other men and women, particularly women, but also even children, were accused within the following months. Now, the 3 accused witches, which I told you about just a few moments ago, attended their witch trials, while their accusers actually appeared in the courtroom having all of these convulsions and all of these outbursts and screaming and all of that right before their very eyes, and it really made the villagers even more afraid having these witches in this courtroom and then having their victims or their accusers suffering in the courtroom. Though Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne denied their guilt, Tituba confessed, but it's really, really important that I do note she confessed after they continuously pried at her, and many believe that she told them that she was in fact a witch because she had actually accused several other witches of having done witchcraft with her. So people thought that she was acting as kind of an informant, hoping to get less punishment, which was definitely and most certainly not the case. She said that she had been visited by the devil and made a deal with him. In 3 days of her specific vivid testimony, she described encounters with Satan's animal familiars. She described encounters with a tall, dark man from Boston who was actually the one who had her sign the devil's book. And she also said she saw the names of Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and many others in this book as well. Like I said, people believe she was attempting to be some kind of an informant to get off easier. However, like Tituba, many accused witches actually confessed as well. There was a lot of them that would confess to witchcraft, but that was also believed that it was in fear of what would happen to them, and they were trying to just give them what they wanted in hopes for a lesser punishment. The craziest thing of all to me, you guys, is that literally children were accused of witchcraft. One child, Dorothy Good, the daughter of Sarah Good, was accused of being a witch. Now, I should note, on her warrant, they had actually written down her name as Dorcas, so D-O-R-C-U-S, but her real name is Dorothy Good. Upon interrogating Dorothy, she actually confessed. She said that she was a witch and she had actually seen her mom consulting with the devil himself. People like all throughout the town claimed that this specific child was completely deranged and that she would go around biting people as though she were like an animal. Dorothy actually went to jail, becoming the youngest person to be jailed during the Salem witch trials at 5 years old. Now, one thing that I really want to say about this is she was 5 years old. She probably had no idea what she was confessing to. I mean, when I was a kid, I'm sure if you asked me the things that I thought I would have a long list of things that were contributed to my imagination. So whether or not this was true, I don't know, but I just think it's absolutely insane to imprison a 5-year-old child. 2 days later, Dorothy was visited by Salem officials. She claimed that she owned a snake given to her from her mother and that the snake talked to her and that it actually sucked blood from her finger as well. Now, they automatically thought that this specific snake was her familiar, which is considered a witch's spiritual servant in animal form. Now, Dorothy actually had a younger sister named Mercy, who was born after Sarah Good's imprisonment, but she passed away shortly after her birth, presumably due to malnourishment and the harsh conditions of imprisonment, which is so sad to think about. Now, Gallows Hill was sadly and unfortunately on a wooden ledge overlooking the town so it could be seen from the homes in the village below. They believed that it was a sensible place for public execution because everyone could witness what occurs when people break the law, essentially, as they could see the hanging bodies from their homes, which must have been so traumatizing and so heartbreaking back then. And mind you, you guys, I really should note that there were a lot of people who didn't agree with what was happening in Salem but were too afraid to speak up because more often than not, if you were to defend the witches, you were accused of being a witch yourself. So it was really a lose-lose in every aspect. By September of 1692, hysteria began and the general public actually turned on the concept and idea of the witch trials. The Massachusetts General Court actually later annulled guilty verdicts against the accused witches and attempted to make everything right with the families of those lost. But the anger still lingered in the community and lingers out even until modern day. Now, something that's really interesting is the home that was owned by John Proctor, who was an accused witch as well and was hanged within the community during the witch trials. Home is actually currently on the market, so people are really interested in purchasing his specific home from the witch trials. Basically, it was a very, very sad time where what is believed now 2 girls having a true medical illness. I believe actually people think it was caused by fungus on bread, but I'm not 100% sure on that aspect. But people believe that they were actually just sick. Cost the lives of many people and an incredibly sad period in history. Well, you guys, I intend on doing an entire video on modern day witches, what would have gotten people accused of witchcraft throughout history, and just everything to do with witches in general, but I really wanted to touch on the Salem witch trials, and you guys have been requesting it so much, so that is exactly what I did. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the Salem witch trials, what your opinions are, and what you think the reasoning behind it all was, and I'll be reading through your comments to see what you guys think. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos and I'm uploading every day, so I don't want you to miss when I upload. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It makes my heart super happy when you guys do that, so please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.